Hello, today I'm going to go over this Observations of the Electromagnetic Spectrum lecture. So this is a different lecture than we normally have where we have some notes and stuff. Here, you're just going to follow along and mark the images as I tell you. So the electromagnetic spectrum, this is all the different wavelengths of light. Now we see the visible part of the electromagnetic spectrum. It's just one small little area of the whole thing. But this is what we can see with our eyes. Some insects can see in ultraviolet, or some animals can see in a little bit of the infrared. This is just talking about like humans and what humans see. But we can study, as in astronomy, we can study all parts of this electromagnetic spectrum. We have machines, telescopes, and satellites that can detect all of these different wavelengths. And we're going to just talk about a few of the basics today and some of the ways that we view this stuff. So let's start with the one that we're most familiar with, the visible part of the spectrum. And I've got 3 different items up here, okay? Not all of these are used to look at the visible spectrum. The first one here, the Hubble, that one is used to look at the visible spectrum. It's a telescope that is orbiting Earth. So what I want you to do is I just want you to put a star next to it. The next one here is an older observatory, but has a traditional telescope that takes light in, visible light, and we can see things through the telescope in the night sky, just like with the Hubble, only it's on the ground, right? So put another star right there. Now this last one, this is still considered a telescope, but what this is going to be reading is or it used to anyways, was used to read radio waves. So we're not going to mark this one. This is not one of the ones that is the visible part of the spectrum. Okay. Now down here, I have 3 different people. Of these 3 people, only one of them used telescopes to examine the night sky. So the one that used telescopes to examine the night sky was Galileo. And Galileo used an early telescope in order to see things like the moons of Jupiter and the phases of Venus. So what I want you to do with Galileo is put a circle around Galileo. All right, moving on. Down here, what we're going to look at is some instruments that detect radio waves. So radio waves are up here. They're the big one, big long waves. Of these 2, only one of them is used for radio waves. That is this array here. These are all used in conjunction together. So all of these telescopes or radio wave receivers will all be coordinated, and they can pick up radio wave signals. Because the radio waves are so big, you need kind of a big array in order to accurately catch them all. This one is for something else. This is for, let's see, I believe this is X-ray. It's the Chandra satellite for X-ray. So that's not the one we're talking about. We're talking about radio waves. What I want you to do is put a square next to this image, just like we did with the stars up here. Just put a little square right there. Now we're going to use radio waves, the ones we were just talking about, to tell us some things about the universe that we can't see with visible light. One of the things that we can use radio waves for is to detect what's called quasars. These are big, deep space objects that give off a tremendous amount of energy. And we use radio waves in order to study them. So what I want you to do, so this is your quasar. This is just a nebula. This is just a gas cloud right here. So with the quasar, just put a circle up at the top, up here. All right, moving on. I'm going to cover one more here. I've got 3 devices, and the part of the electromagnetic spectrum we're going to talk about right now is the microwave part. So we've got the microwave radiation, which is smaller than radio, but bigger than our visible light. And of these 3, only 2 of them look at microwave. Well, this one here, you can see people looking through it with their through an eyepiece. So that's obviously visual. That means these 2 are the ones that detect microwave. This is an old one right here. This is an older device from the 60s. This is a brand new like satellite that's been put into orbit that looks at microwave radiation from space. So what you're going to do is put an M right here next to each of these, just a capital M next to each of those 2 images, because those are the ones that look at microwaves. One of the things that we've discovered using microwave is something called cosmic microwave background radiation. That's this colored image right here. This one's just a visible light image of different galaxies, but this one uses the microwave radiation to make this map of the old universe. So this is what the universe, what the heat differences were in the very early universe. Now, this is a whole topic on itself. I can't really go into a lot of detail, but very important for understanding the early universe and how galaxies started to form and where they started to form. So draw an arrow pointing at this particular map. This instrument here was used in order to make this first map of the cosmic background radiation. Okay, so that's just a few of the ways that we study space, some of the instruments, and parts of the electromagnetic spectrum. All right, hope this helps.